for the viewers at home and for Julien who's joining us here, then each guest that we have on the show, we give the opportunity to answer a question that was posed by our previous guest and then ask a question for our next guest. And the previous guest that we had on here was Heath, who developed the superhero, very adult superhero, game Night Jackal. Well, actually, the whole IP. The first Night Jackal game was an arcade racer. The second is a FPS game. There's also a comic book on it as well. So he has taken that small concept and he's expanded it. Just as we were talking about with Threshold and you were talking about expanding the game, he's actually gone and done that. So I believe his question may relate or may literally be something that you've already discussed earlier on, which was, what was the idea behind the geographical oxygen mechanic? Like, you mentioned that you wanted it to slow down, but how did you literally think to yourself, let's bite into a glass container, because that's how you get your oxygen? Where did that kind of inspiration come from? Not just the mechanic, but the idea of it.
I actually don't remember. I think it was, I work really on, it's not super subtle, but I think it was at Crytek that people called that brain farts, or maybe at Arcane, but like, I got a lot of them, and I try to make them happen when I feel like they are like worth exploring, I have like a good example of that I love to talk about. At Arcane on Deathloop, there was like these candy machines that you can find everywhere in the world, and they were just like static props, that you couldn't interact with. And at some point in the meeting, I said, "Hey, why can't we just shoot at them and like candies roll over the floor on NPCs would swing on them and fall on the ground, basically." It would be like very goofy, so very thematically like correct for Deathloop. It would be pertinent, and it would also have like a small tactical advantage, and people weren't taking that idea very seriously. And so I felt like, okay, I'm gonna do it, and I did it in like half a day. It wasn't that complicated, and it ended up, in the trailer. So it was eventually kind of, I'm glad, it found its way. And to get back to Threshold, so yeah, I don't remember exactly, but I wanted to explore things that would be hurting you, like either physically or mentally, but not physically, but your character physically and you mentally. And I wasn't, like even super aware of the body horror concept, that it was really that, it felt like it's gonna touch you in your flesh, basically, and very literally, I wanted something to be a bit, like you are suffering while doing something that feels good. So it's kind of a weird mix, and I believe that it drove people's also curiosity, and there was still some satisfaction out of it, like that crushing glass sound was. I could see it on the face of people playing, like they were like, and there was also
really
like,
hear the shards, because it's not just a shh, it's a cracking into it that you hear, and it really goes through you.
And you can hear your character doing like struggling to bite through it.
How'd you create that sound effect?
It was like a layer of like maybe 6 or 7 sound cues, one for the teeth going onto the glass, then that sound, the guy who is like doing like forcing, and then the glass breaking, the air flowing inside. I took some inspiration from the Disco Elysium sound when you get back your one of your 2 mana gauges, mana. I really liked those sounds. They felt really like, tactile, and I really loved them. So I wanted to try and do something a bit similar. And yeah, also, so it remained like that for a long time, and then it felt like it was too dry. So I did some really, like flesh sound to emphasize the fact that glass goes into the
lungs.
What do you call that? The gums. Yeah.
Yes.
To make it really like.
Yeah, well, I think we've all cut ourselves in our gums in the past. So a lot of horror games, they go for like the blood and guts, and it's very difficult to identify with that on a human level, because horror can either be gore horror or it can be psychological horror. And gore is sometimes difficult to identify with because not all of us, explode human beings and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But we all know what it's like to get a nail in your hand or something, something that's identifiable. So biting into the glass, you felt every moment of it. But before we go into the competition, which Medium is going to take care of in a second, I did want to ask, so Critical Reflex put out mouthwashing, and mouthwashing, of course, has recently been hit by everyone keeps blaming each other. So Steam is blaming, Visa or whatever, and Visa is saying, what is your personal opinion on that? How would you feel if something like Threshold was to be affected by that, and one day you wake up and find that it's not available to buy anywhere?
I would be disappointed, but I wouldn't be, it wouldn't change my life. So, I would be. What bothers me, it wouldn't bother me, but I'm bothered by the current situation, basically. Like the fact that it can affect people that are already, not the most visible, basically. Because it's, if I understood correctly, what's happening is like basically far right activists, going to spamming of calls, Visa and MasterCard to
lobbyists basically. From what I hear, they have a certain perspective on their religious beliefs, and they're trying to get that. Alana Pierce put out a great video on it a couple of days ago, actually breaking it down. So for anyone watching this, go to Alana's page and channel and check that out. But it's basically, we have a certain worldview, therefore we are imposing it on you. And they took the same point of view that I believe it's the company's called Sweet Baby Inc. did as well when it comes to diversity, which is not actually to try and work with the companies in doing it, but to basically scare the companies about the negative publicity they'll get if they don't give in to the demands. So that's it's just how it affects art, essentially. I personally don't believe in censorship, but I believe in classification. I think as grown adults, we should all have the right to art, to buy whatever art that we want, and artists should have the right to express themselves. If, of course, it's not going against certain types of laws that are negative. Of course, I'm trying not to use the specific words because we will be putting this out on YouTube, and of course YouTube will demonetize if certain words are used. But I'm sure you can think, what I'm inferring, doing certain things to certain people. You just, regardless of whether it's art or not, you can do it in an educational point of view so that people will understand how evil these things are, so that they can be more prepared in life, but not to glamorize it. Yeah. So, yeah. I appreciate your input. so sure. We have a competition. We have a competition there. Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, if you're interested in what we're talking about here today and what Julian's serving up, if you like meat showers and just tear it into a glass canister, just to get a little hit of that good oxygen, well, you're in luck, because if you'd like to play said game, we've got 5 keys to give away for Threshold, and all it takes is for you to retweet the tweet of the episode that'll be on Twitter, of course, and then comment on the YouTube post, and Blue Sky, on Blue Sky. And then also on the YouTube comments, let us know what country you're hailing from. In the spirit of the game, we'll just highlight your country. And I like this one too because I added this in there. Your favorite animal. What country you're hailing from, or if you feel like that's a little personal, just say, what's your favorite animal that I would like to not be in a meat shower, if at all possible.
Yeah, and thank you very much, Julien, for being so generous to provide us with those Steam keys that we can give out. That's really decent of you.
Yes, thank you.